Hi, welcome to my channel. This is my first video. It ended up being so much longer than I thought it was gonna be. I also jumped in editing for a little bit and I'm sick right now, and I also was sick then, so just like if my voice sounds weird, that's why. I hope y'all really enjoy it. It's my first video on my channel and I talk a lot, so it's really long. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's get into it. Hello! Nice to see y'all. My name is Susie. So today I'm going to be talking about this movie. It is called A Time Is Up. Now, this is a movie I watched about a year or so ago, starring Bella Thorne and her ex-fiance, Benjamin Mascalo. I could have said that wrong. So he's her ex-fiance and they starred in numerous films together. One of them is called Time Is Up. There's also a sequel to Time Is Up called something like The Game Is Love. Game of Love. The Game Is Love. That's actually not a bad title for a film. It sounds very cheesy. I bet it would sell. So they starred in this movie together, and it is a very interesting film. It has parts that I did not expect. It is bad. The music is okay. It's actually better than the rest of the movie. The acting, now I will not say Bella Thorne is a bad actor. Back in the day, I used to love her on loved her on Shake It Up. You know, like I was a fan. I was a Bella Thorne. I was a CC girl, you know, like I loved Rocky, don't get me wrong, Zendaya, amazing, beautiful, talented, special, but like I struggled in school and I could relate to Cece about that, you know, like Rocky was always killing it all the time. Cece was not. She was struggling, and so was I. I had a friend who had dyslexia and I was like 8 years old and I was like, oh my god, we have so much in common. You have dyslexia. My friend has dyslexia. It's crazy.
My name is Bella Thorne, and this is the story of the time I found out I have dyslexia.
Shake It Up was great, you know, like it had some of the best dance moves, like these. Oh, you got me reeling, or these. Those dance moves killed, you know, like we all ate that up when we were younger. Since the days of Shake It Up. I can only currently think of one good thing that Bella Thorne has been in, and that is Duff. The Duff, whatever. Great movie, amazing. She could have been in other good things, but I have not heard about it, you know? Like, she was in that one weird-ass movie with Nash Greer. It was not good. And she's been in a lot of really weird, smaller movies. I guess she's trying to be indie, I don't know. She also, you know, created good songs like Stupid Fucking Bitch. She actually, okay, did she take it down? I think she might have taken it down because I can't find the video anymore. You quit it. I'm gonna let you check in for extended visits. You know, she makes legends. You know, she's made a few other songs. I won't call them good ones, but she's made them. And that's what we know her for. You know, we know her. Like, if we look at this movie on Rotten Tomatoes, let's look at it, even though I hate Rotten Tomatoes. This is how I know. Okay, well, so the audience score is a 71. It wasn't even rated on the other one. Full of wooden performances, stilted dialogue, and a climax that is so ridiculous you can't help but laugh. Time Is Up is a forgettable mess. Sorry, not unforgettable. It's a forgettable mess. And that is true, because I truly do not remember anything that has happened since the last time I watched it. But I've watched it again, and I'm going to watch it now with y'all, so we can enjoy this forgettable mess together. So this movie, it starts with some beautiful ambulance sounds going, you know, but like prettier than that. And then it has very intense breathing sounds, which I know is Bella Thorne. I can tell her breathing from anyone's at this point. You know, that's just the relationship that we have. So after this ambulance music, quick cut to Bella Thorne in her beautifulness on the beach in a white dress, walking through the waves, saying, "In the void, there are pairs of particles that are continuously created and circling to each other and blah, blah, blah." This girlie wants to be a physicist. That is her dream. That is where she is going in life. Do you also want to know how old this girlie is? In 2021, you know what she's playing right now? A high school student. Her and Ben Mascalato in this, whatever, are high school students. And like, I just think that's beautiful because I love when 28-year-olds or however old Bella Thorne is play high school students. It's one of my favorite things, and I know everyone else really enjoys that too. You know, when we look at things like Vampire Diaries or Gossip Girl, and we're like, yeah, they're 28, right? And we're like, oh no, they're 16? Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, they look 16. Yeah. Okay, so then we move to a shot of them swimming. Now this is my bread and butter, baby. You know, like this is where I shine because if you don't know about me, I was a swimmer. And I was on my high school varsity team, you know, like I swam. Your girl was a swimmer. But like, you know, I never like tried to do Olympics or go in college. So like maybe people swim more intensely than I did, but I will watch movies and I will be like, that's not how it was. Based on my own personal high school experience, this is not swimming. My opinions change. Well, my opinions not. Currently, they're just swimming. Two girls are watching them. And also, who in high school is this covered with tattoos? This man is covered head to toe. That is dramatic. From neck to, what's the word? To hips. Neck to hips. Covered in tattoos. And he's supposed to be like 18 years old. Who has that many tattoos when you're 18 years old? Maybe you do in Rome, which I'm pretty sure is where this takes place. But they all speak English, so I don't really know what that means. But okay.
Also, for the first half of this movie, I thought that it took place in Rome. It doesn't. It takes place somewhere in California. I was wrong, so just ignore that. I will keep talking about it. Oh well.
Look at them. I think they're in Rome. I could be fully wrong about that. This is in Rome, so life is different in Rome, and that's just... I know, I'm so deep. Life is different in Rome. Okay, are they in Rome or not? What do you mean he's Italian? Maybe they're not in Rome. This doesn't look like Rome. It looks like LA or something.
This movie is literally so forgettable that after watching it 2 times, I forgot that they just go to Rome at the end. And that's why it's an Italian drama. That's where I got Rome from. But I literally could not remember that because it's so forgettable. I watched the movie 2 times before filming this, and I couldn't remember a single thing about it. I even have like a script. Couldn't remember a single thing.
Maybe they're going to Rome. For a meet? In high school? That's pretty cool. Maybe I would have tried harder and swim if I got taken to meets in Rome. These people are rich. I can tell by this man's car. These people are rich. I hated when they gave little like 17-year-olds in high school a nice ass car. It was so stupid. I was like, they're just gonna crash it. I knew a guy in high school crashed his car 4 times. His parents bought him a nicer car each time he crashed it. Like it was a reward. It was insane to me. I was like, these people look... Like, I can't get in my brain that they're high schoolers. They look like college students. They act like college students too. Now we're in the trailer park because this man is not rich like the others. He is living in a trailer park with some cool ass lights. I really like the lights on all the trailers. They look really artsy and cool. So now, after we see this shot of them driving in the car, talking about their lives, talking about how hot Benjamin Mascalato is. What's his name? Roy. His name is Roy in the movie. We're going to start calling him Roy because I don't want to keep saying his name wrong. I feel bad about it. So his name is Roy. I'm still going to call Bella Thorne Bella though. So we're just going to deal with that. So after they have this whole little conversation after practice about how her friend wants to fuck Roy, wants to date him and fall in love with him and marry him. Why? Because he has really hot tattoos and he's a good swimmer and he has anger issues. And we all like those type of men in high school. We looked at Wattpad and we said, this is what we want. This is what we want from life. Yeah. And so that's what she's doing. And I respect her for that. So after they have this little conversation in the car and him being like, oh no, he's bad news. Don't do it. He's bad news. Now we are taken to his place. And he is bad news. He's poor. And that means he's bad. And we all know that. His family, they're poor. And so now we're hearing more about his back life. You know, he's here. He has a little sister. His mother's dead, I'm pretty sure. That's what they implied. Tell him. You tell your son after you just said it's either swimming or come work at our garage. That's it. Those are your only life choices. You don't work out hard enough in swimming though. I'm Troy Boltoning you right now. I'm Troy Bolton's dad and I'm telling you to swim. Don't play basketball, swim. But, like, I also understand where he's coming from because, like, I think what he's trying to say is that's the only way he's going to get a scholarship. So, either, like, he swims, gets a scholarship, you know, does that, or he will not be able to go to school and he has to work at the garage. But you know what he doesn't know? Is that these days, we have TikTok. He could become a thirst. He could become a thirst trapper. He doesn't need swimming. Do you see his moodiness and his sexiness and his tattoos? He could become a thirst trapper on TikTok. And really, that's all that matters. He could make so much money. He could join the people in LA. I was going to say the Hype House, but that's such an outdated reference. No one's in that anymore. I don't think his dad is open to all the possibilities of being a hot tattooed man that it can give you in our current world. And I think that's just something he should think about. They're having this conversation because her dad's gone and her mom are just there. She's at her house. Her house looks nice, I guess. It has a lot of drapes. Like an absurd amount of drapes. I don't think you need that many. So they must be rich. She's gonna go take a test soon. We find that out. Bella Thorne test taking on quantum physics queen, you know? That's where we're at right now. Also, she just had a conversation with her boyfriend. These were the texts that she just said. Hey Vivian, I'm out with the team. Phone connection real bad here. So you know what that means? That he will not be able to be in contact with you. He's out with his team, can't be in contact. Her response. Okay, call me back. So he's swimming in the dark. Kind of iconic. Swimming in the dark is low-key really fun. Okay, so then while Bella Thorne's doing her homework, you know, moody time, we see her mom is possibly cheating on her father. Some guy drops her off late at night. Ooh. Bella Thorne now knows that her mom is cheating on her dad. That's not good. She's upset about it, which, like, valid. She is a teenager, and finding out your mom cheating on your dad is very upsetting. And her boyfriend, he wouldn't call her back last night, and she didn't get missed calls until this morning. So, like, he did call her back, just late, and that's annoying. You know, we hate when that happens. That makes me mad. Also, he has the ugliest shirt on, and I stand by that. And Bella Thorne says the iconic line that, "I'm always busy with quantum physics, but I still make time for you." I understand, she should be mad. She's always busy with those quantum physics. You know, the multiverse always in her head. I don't know anything about quantum physics. Anyway, and you know, like, she is Ant-Man. She's in the quantum realm constantly, and he will not make time for her, and she's making time for him. She's leaving the quantum realm and spending time with him, and he will not do the same for her. He will not get out of that pool and spend time with her. And she's mad, and I understand, because if I left the quantum realm, I can't say that word, quantum realm, to be with my boyfriend, and he wouldn't even leave the pool for me, I'd be pissed. I'd be so mad. So I understand. This is the first cool jacket she's worn to see her parents cheat, or her mom cheating on her dad. It's the first cool outfit she has worn. And it's only because I like leather jackets. The long leather jackets are amazing. Her mom's cheating on her father though. Oh, cheating, making out in a public restaurant. So then, now after leaving the restaurant where her mom is cheating on her father, she has a run-in with these guys on the street. Now, this is very Edward Bella core, you know, like, this is their scene. It basically feels like a recreation. So it's like, you know, when she's sitting there with a bunch of guys and they're all like creepily coming up to her, and then Edward brooms in with his car and it's like almost runs half them over, and he's like, "Get in." Maybe I'm misremembering this scene, but that's what I picture in my head. Him just, "Vroom, get in." That's like what this is. But if Edward didn't drive coolly into the scene and instead just walked up, already knew the guys, and then walked her away. But they come up to her, they're creepy. He's like, "This is a nice coat," which, that's what I said, King. I agree, it is a nice coat, and I would try to steal it too. He is like, "Hey," he's Edward Cullen. He comes in there. No, he doesn't. He just walks to me. He's like, "Hey, what's up? Give her a bag back. Let's go." That's what happens. And they walk away. And it's iconic, you know, that's the moment of falling in love. If a man at the beginning of our love story does not interrupt a group of guys harassing me in like an alley or a deserted parking lot, then we're just not gonna have a good time. So then after he saves her from the guys, he goes, "Girls like you should not be here, because I'm poor and you're rich, so get out." And, you know, that's exactly what he says to her. And he screams that at her. It's crazy. "No, I'm just lying." She goes, "What do you mean, girls like me?" And she's like, "You don't even know me." And he's like, "I might not know you, but I know your boyfriend. He's on my swim team. So get out of here, because I know he wouldn't want you to be here." And I'm like, yeah, that's how I choose to spend my time. Based on what my boyfriend, where he thinks I should or should not be. Yep, that's exactly how I think as a woman. I only think in terms of whatever man currently owns me, where he thinks I should be. And that's a valid point, Roy. And she's like, "So don't tell him." And he's like, "We're cool." And she's like, "Okay," gets in her car, like, drives away. Which, that would be my response too, Queen. Like, that is how I would respond to that situation. I would get in the car and drive away, and she's still wearing the cool coat in the next scene. Her outfit in the next scene is one of the better ones. She has these really cool little high knee boots with like little buttons on the side, from what I can tell. She's a cool jacket on, this little white shirt with like this pleated skirt, and this little like bedazzled backpack, which wouldn't fit any of her shit for high school. I will tell you right now, this backpack is too small to fit anything. Also, who dresses like this for high school? That's besides the point. They're taking their test. Oh, sorry, they're taking their exam. I was like, what classroom? Who has a classroom that looks like this? Because it's cool as hell. So artsy. And so she leaves. She walks in to the exam, in her cool ass outfit with her little tights and boots and jacket, which would be so uncomfortable for taking an entire exam in. I've taken so many tests for college, for high school, for my certifications, all of that shit, and I have never gone to a single one that is not in sweatpants and leggings, except for in high school, and that's because we were required to wear jeans. And I did not wear this whole like look. I just wore like jeans and like a hoodie, you know? I don't get it. It's impressive, queen. And I wish I could live my life as a style icon like you, even though this is your only good outfit while you're going to take an exam and then leave in the middle of it. Not even in the middle. She walks in there and she immediately leaves. She sees them passing out the test and she goes, hell no. Now, after she leaves her test, she bikes home. No, bikes to her friend's house, all dramatically. And then, I don't know what Vivian's friend name is. You know, like on Prime Video, when you see it and it has the little people's names, it says Vivian's friend. This girl does not have a name. That is really bad. That is really embarrassing. They just didn't give her a name. I'm confused. What's her nave? Oh, that's my phone. Okay, what is her name? Does she not have a name? Because that's really messed up. They're like the only people that matter are Bella Thorne and Benjamin. We don't care about anyone else. We're not naming them. Christine. Her name is Christine. Okay, she does have a name. Her name is Christine. Oh, I'm gonna call her Christine or Bonnie because I like that name. That's the actress's actual name, Bonnie, and that's pretty sick. Cat Graham, iconic. She comes to Vivian's friend's house. Bonnie. Christine. You walk in. Christine has like 20 bottles of alcohol just on her counter. Probably more than that. It looks like there's like 40 of these. 40 bottles. She is in high school. And you know these people are rich because she just goes, it's straight from Ukraine. My dad just brought it back. So then we see that they're having a party tonight. Let's go, party, high school. I bet it's gonna look exactly like all the parties you went to in high school. You know it is. One tries to give her a sexy costume. I guess it might be Halloween or they're just having a costume party. I cannot tell. They never hinted at it being Halloween, so you tell me, bro. Goes here. And she goes, isn't that a little tight? Bella Thorne, queen. First off, what? Also, second off, I'm not like other girls. I don't like tight, sexy Halloween costumes. So as this is all happening, Benny, Mr. Roy, walks in to the pool and sees Bella Thorne's boyfriend making out with the swim coach. Having a nice little moment being like, gonna come here later tonight, come over to my house? And he's like, no, I got a party, a costume or Halloween party or whatever. And he's like, no, come over. And he's like, maybe I will. And they go, you know, it's really inappropriate. He is your coach. You are in high school. You might be 18, I'm not sure, but it's still inappropriate. Insane. Do we need to keep having this trope of people doing stuff with their teachers and coaches? It's not fun. It's not a good plot line. It is very inappropriate. So that's a really fun scene that happens. I really enjoy that scene. It's one of my favorites in the movie, actually. Her boyfriend's fucking the swim coach. Her mom is having an affair. Her life is going crazy. You know, she's wearing a sexy cop costume for Halloween, I think. Ben shows up. He shows up to the party wearing a stupid costume. His costume is ugly. He literally looks like a not Dementor. What is it? A Death Eater, but if he had a stupid mask on. So they have a nice little sexy dance at the party. They do a little, and he's behind her and she's like, she asks who he is. He doesn't tell her. He runs away. But then at the party, Benny boy, Roy, gets into a fight with some random guys. I don't fully know why they were fighting. Beats me. You know? He started beating someone up and you're like, yeah, that's what happens. Also, he was trying to help out the guys that were harassing her. This is how Roy's night went down. He saw he goes to go swim, and he sees Bella Thorne's boyfriend Steve and their swim coach, both their swim coaches. He sees them like making out and being all flirty and being like, "Oh, you're gonna come out of my house later?" And Steve's like, "Hell yeah, bro." And then after seeing that, the said boyfriend then confronts him, really mean to him, being like, "I own you now, whatever, don't tell anyone, blah blah blah." After all that happens, he then goes to the party that Bella Thorne is at, dressed in a stupid Death Eater mask costume, and then proceeds to dance with her all sexy like. The girl that he just found out her boyfriend was cheating on her, not tells her any of it, just they dance, they grind, they whatever. Then after that, interrupts their dancing because he sees the guy that was harassing said Bella Thorne the other night. You remember Twilight, Edward Cullen, Core, what happened? One of the guys that was harassing her that night. He sees him fighting with another guy. Then proceeds to jump into the fight to help out that guy, the guy that was harassing her. And then beats up some guy, gets in a huge fight, it's bleeding, dramatic. Then, after that, Bella Thorne comes up to him and like pulls him away. He's like, "People are calling the cops, let's go." It protects him. And after they're leaving this party, they start having their little romance. Well, they don't start having it. They start having like a little conversation after they leave. And it starts with her talking about the neighborhood that he grew up in, the one that she got harassed in and saw her mom cheating on her dad in. And she goes, "Wow, growing up in that neighborhood must have been interesting." And then she goes, "Let's play a game." Because he asked, "Why were you there?" And she's like, "It's a secret." He's like, "Oh my god, secret? Are you a child?" And she's like, "Okay, let's play a game. I'll tell you a secret, you tell me a secret, blah, blah, blah." Very fun, very flirty, very first date core. Why do I keep saying that? Very first date vibes, you know? First date vibes. So she does all this. She's like, "Oh, let's do that." And he goes, "I don't have any secrets." And she's like, "Oh, wow. I'm sorry that I'm not as honest as you." Now they are playing the game. Why did he say he had no secrets if he had them? And now they're able to share them. Because that means he did have secrets. And he was lying. Finding things in common. They're flirting. They're talking about quantum physics again. He's talking about swimming, because that's the only thing that she can only date a guy that's a swimmer. She's in the quantum realm, he's in the pool. So then, after they have this conversation, they're at some arcade park fair place, who knows, and she goes to get a drink. He leaves. She comes back, he's gone. He's disappeared. He left her there, which, yeah, can always expect a man to treat you shitty. Then it cuts to their swim practice the next day. It's like, I want to be back on the team, which I get it, because even though your coach is a pedophile, it shouldn't affect your future, you know? Don't let those things affect your future. He races against her boyfriend Steve to see who's faster so he can try to get back on the team. He beats him, you know, of course. Mr. Roy is our main character, so he beats Steve because Steve is a cheating man who is having relations with the swim coach. So then she goes home to see her mom and dad fighting, and they're like, "How was your test?" And your mom's like, "It's really hard, I know." And she goes, "You know how hard it was for me, Bella, this is Bella, to go into that test and know that you are fucking your boyfriend, your new boyfriend? You know how hard that was for me?" And their parents are like, "Actually, we're on a break. And we've been on one for a year. So you shouldn't have been so upset." So they tell her. And now she's mad at both her parents because they've both been lying to her. She was only mad at her mom before. But now she's also mad at her dad because he was involved in the lying. And then after she finds all this out about her mom and dad, Steve texts her and goes, "I'm flying to Rome. We can talk when I'm back. I hope you'll wait for me. Peace out." So now we're in Rome. We're in Rome, Italy. I don't know where the hell we were before then. You tell me, bro. Maybe we were in Rome. Maybe we weren't. We'll never freaking know where we were. So now she's in Rome. She's stripping in the back of a taxi for some reason, changing. Fully takes off her like bra, nude in a taxi. Public nudity. That's our first crime. No, wait, we have multiple crimes. We have pedophilia, power dynamics. It's not really a crime, but it is to me. Nudity, public nudity now. Underage drinking. We got so much for us. So she goes to Rome to see her boyfriend. She shows up at the hotel. Oh, it's, you know, I was at jet lag and I left my key. I need to go up to my room. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? You have your bags. What do you mean you left your stuff up the room? Did you leave that too? Jet lag? What are you talking about? She's like, oh, okay. So I did surprise my boyfriend. Could you take me up there? And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll take you up. And if he confirms your story, then yeah. So he digs her up and Roy's up there and she's like, oh, this is my boyfriend. And he's like, hello. And she like kisses him on the cheek and he's like, oh, okay, cool. So the hotel guy leaves. They start playing The Party Is Over by Billie Eilish, which is amazing. He knocks on the door and he's like, she's like, do you know where Steve is? And he's like, no, he was at practice earlier, but I don't know where he went. And he's like, do you want me to take you? We can walk around Rome while you're waiting for him. And she's like, okay, let's go walk around Rome. I mean, who am I to turn down walking down Rome with a hot guy, you know? So then they have this cute little scene as they're walking around, which I actually find cute. She's like, I can't wait to see all the photos you've been taking, because he has a camera. And she's like, oh my god, I can't wait to see them. Like, I bet they're cute. You know, we've been walking all around Rome. Like, I bet you took some cute photos. And he's like, I don't really take pictures of people. And she's like, what the hell? I've been posing this whole time and you haven't taken a single picture of me? And he's like, well, I don't really need to take pictures of people. Like, I just remember them. She takes his camera and runs away, and they have a cute little scene. And then they have a little moment where, like, he grabs her when she's running away with the camera, and they're like, should we kiss right now? And then she's like, no, we need to walk around a little bit more. I have a boyfriend. And he's like, yeah, you're right. So they are from the States. So what I learned from this little conversation that they had is that they are living in the States, because she's like, how long did you live in Rome? And he's like, I lived here until middle school, then I moved back to the States. So it makes sense that he has an accent and his sister doesn't, because she would have grown up in the US because she's much younger than him. So that really answers the questions that I have been wondering this whole time about where they are. So then as they're walking around Rome, he starts telling her the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. I don't know. If you don't know this story, you should. I'm sorry, Quantum Physics Girly apparently doesn't know this story. I don't know if I was just a Greek myth girly, but I feel like it's one of the most common Greek myths. It's like the Greek myth about, honestly, if he just told me, do you know the story Orpheus? I'd probably be like, maybe. But then once he started explaining it, I'd be like, yeah, I know the story. It's the story about the guy who's like in love with this girl, then she dies, and so then he goes into the underworld and asks Hades if he can have her back, and he's like, yeah, you can have her back, as when you're walking, as long as like when you're walking back, you do not turn back to see if she's behind you. Like, you'll hear her footprints, but it's like a test of trust. So you need to believe that she's behind you. You need to make it all the way to the exit of the underworld without looking behind you to see if she's behind you. So he tells her this story. I don't know what the metaphor of it is, to be like, you need to trust our love. I guess that's what it is. And so finally he tells her the end of the story. She's like literally they're on a boat now, and it's probably been like 2 hours in their time. She's finally like, oh, so what happens? And he's like, well, at the end she falls silent and she turns around, or Orpheus turns around to look at her, and she's gone. And she's like, what? That's, Greek mythology is effed up. And I'm like, yeah. Have you never read a Greek mythology story? Every single one is super messed up. I do not know why I read so many Greek mythology stories when I was a kid, but they're very messed up. Like, Zeus is constantly turning into, like, animals and different people to try to get into women's pants, get into nymphs' pants. Like, that's just Greek mythology, queen. Like, we know. And he's like, no, that's not Greek mythology. That's real life. You know why? Because love falls apart. And that's how life is. Love never lasts. Which, like, we love a pessimistic queen. When you're 18 and this pessimistic. So then they're at the bar drinking and talking. And, you know, their parents come up. He's like, if I don't win the swim meet, she's like, what happens if you do win? And he's like, my dad will find some other reason to give me shit, whatever. And then she's like, what about your mom? I'm only asking because, like, my mom, she's being annoying. She's cheating on my dad, whatever. And he's like, my mom's dead. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, it's fine. It was a long time ago. So now they're swimming. Don't know how they got into this pool. You tell me. Maybe it's their hotel pool. Who knows? So they're swimming. And he keeps getting close to her. And she just keeps swimming away. Which is really funny. Like, he keeps, like, leaning in. And she just swims away. Then finally they kiss. They kissed, everybody! Woo! They're kissing now. So now she's a cheater just like her mom. You know how they say you always end up like your parents? She did it real quickly. She went, let's speedrun that shit. You know what, queen? Kiss him. Who cares? Your boyfriend sucks. Like, have some fun. You're 18. You're in Rome. Kiss the tattooed hot bad boy. I don't want to step. Yeah. Sure. So then after they leave the pool, after they have their little first kiss, little romantic moment, she's like, we need to stop. And so they get out and they go back to the hotel. It's kind of awkward. They're like, peace out. I'm going to go talk to my boyfriend. I'm going to go to the room. She walks in and he's sleeping in the bed with the swim coach. So she found out. She found out that he's doing stuff as a swim coach. He goes, wait, it's not what it looks like. Which, maybe it's not. But also, what could you possibly be doing that's not weird as hell? That you would be sleeping in the same bed as your swim coach in high school? Like, ever. It's weird. It is weird, King. So she runs away. Boyfriend follows her. Oh, no, Steve doesn't follow her. Sorry, no, Roy follows her. I totally thought Steve ran after her, but no. He just stayed in the hotel room, and it's actually Roy running after her. You know, the guy that she's only hung out with a few times and barely knows. And she's like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. And he's like, calm down. And she's like, no, why didn't you tell me? Like, we spent the whole day together. You don't even like him. Why wouldn't you tell me? And he's like, what was I supposed to tell you? And she goes, the truth? So they're fighting. She's just like, you know that whole story you just told me about trust and Greek mythology? Well, you know what? I could never trust you. I will never trust you. Which, like, queen, who told you you should? But she's like, trust doesn't exist between us. I don't trust you. And then she hits him with the line, I could never be with someone like you, someone who tries and fails. And then he walks away, all upset, like a little baby. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm just upset, I'm sorry. And then guess what? She gets hit by a car. I'm so sorry. So she gets hit by a car. That happens in every romantic movie. Somebody gets hit by a car. Cars are the most dangerous things in our world. Y'all need to know this. And if you're ever having a fight with someone, a romantic fight with someone, you will be hit by a car. It's just facts. So she gets hit by a car after she's running after him, and he's like, oh. It's kind of his fault, right? So then after she is run over by a car, they take her hospital. She ends up going home. I guess she was stable, so they were able to take her back to the States. But, you know, she's stable. She's okay. Oh, I forgot to mention that when she was in her accident, Roy started having flashbacks to his mother's death. And she actually apparently drowned in the ocean. Yeah, it's not really important. He was a little boy. He was sitting on the beach. He saw her drowning. He ran to go save her. Was not able to. So then we cut to a scene of her talking to her friends. She's, you know, getting flashbacks of that night. She's forgotten everything. The doctor's like, she's gonna have some short-term memory loss. It's typical. She has memory loss. Her boyfriend's like, yeah, you know, I was there with you that night. We were having a good night. Memories, room, all that stuff. And so he comes in wearing her stupid freaking shirt. She's talking to her friend about everything that happened. And he's wearing a stupid shirt. He comes in and she's like, did we take Polaroid pictures that night? And he's like, oh yeah. I left them all at the hotel, you know? I was worried about losing much more than those pictures that night. Oh look, I found one. Pulls it out because she had one in her coat. And he's like, oh yeah. That's crazy. You look so good in it. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, you know, I love you. And she's like, oh. So they're together. They're happy. She's also wearing leather pants to relax. Seems so uncomfortable, queen. And his dad's like trying to, he's like, he goes to his dad's auto shop and he's like, she woke up. And his dad's like, Roy, it wasn't your fault. And he's like, no, it was my fault. It was my fault. I was with her, so it was my fault. And he's like, no, it's not your fault. Like, your mom's death wasn't your fault. You know, Bella's is not your fault. Like, it's not your guilt to bear. Like, you should not have to, you know, feel responsible for these things that happen, because it's not your fault. And it's true, it's not his fault. Like, he shouldn't have to feel responsible for his mom dying or Bella dying, because it really isn't his fault. Him and his dad have a little emotional moment. They hug it out. They cry. And I'm sure it's healing in some way. His dad's like, don't be the fuck up that I've been all of my life. Like, you can do better. Like, that's why I push you so hard, is because you can live a better life than I was able to, which like makes sense, you know? And so he like shows him this car, which I don't understand the context behind it. Maybe they explained it, maybe they didn't, but there's this car that he apparently fixed up, but it's still really dirty, so maybe they should take it to a car wash, but whatever. After all that happens, he decides to break into her house with his sketchy friend that harassed her and he got into a fight with at the party. And then it cuts to her at dinner with her parents. They're like flirting, being all romantic, and she's like, she remembers about her mom having another boyfriend, and she's like, guys, you can stop pretending, like, I know. And they're like, no, we actually bonded because of all of this. We realized we still need each other, like we still want to be together. And she's like, oh my god, really? And they're like, yeah. And she's like, oh, and she starts crying. And then she comes back to her house and sees all the Polaroids hung up on string lights, like around her room. Like, he hung them up around her room. I hope he did it without damaging her walls, because I would be pissed. I've hung up a lot of things, and if he did it with like pins, she's gonna have little holes in her wall, but whatever. She's like, oh, this is so romantic. She takes a video of it. She sends it to Steve, because Steve is the one who said he took all the Polaroids, and she's like, oh, this is so romantic, which like Steve would never, queen. I don't know why you would think it was him. He then starts to remember things. As she's looking at the pictures, she starts to remember some of that day. You know, it's bringing back her memories. She's like, I wasn't with Steve. Like, what's going on? Like, who's this other guy that I was with? Like, who is it? And as she is realizing all this, it cuts to Steve with the swim coach. And the swim coach is like, I've been struggling. And Steve's like, well, with what? And he's like, seeing you. I've been struggling with seeing you, Steve. I can't do it anymore. And so he's leaving. The coach is leaving, apparently. He's quitting. And Steve's is like, what the heck? What about the team? And he's like, well, a new coach is coming. Peace out. Steve's all upset that his man is leaving him. And he's like, who am I quitting, Steve? Because he's like, Steve's like, you can't just quit. Can't just quit. And he's like, who am I quitting, Steve? Am I quitting the team? Or am I quitting? And he grabs his face. He's like, Steve, who am I quitting? Am I quitting the team? Or am I quitting you? Who am I quitting? He starts crying. He's really upset. Honestly, I think it's good for you, Steve. I think it might help you to get over this, because I think you should. So then after that happens, he goes over to Bella's place. She's freaking out. She's like, remembering things. And it's like, doesn't make sense. So she starts asking him questions. She's like, this photo right here, where were we? And he's like, oh, we were at a fountain in square. She's like, no, but like, what were we doing? Like, what were we seeing? Like, where was this? What did we do that day? He's just like, oh, well, we walked and went to a restaurant. And she's like, well, what was the restaurant? He's like, the restaurant. And she's like, no, was there a terrace there? He's like, yeah, there was. And she's like, what was I wearing? And he's like, I don't remember. And she's like, on the day that I died, that we spent the entire day together, went to dinner, all this stuff, took all these pictures, and then I almost died. You do not remember what I was wearing. Like, she's like, stop lying. And he's like, no, we were together. And she's like, I am struggling so much right now. She literally has amnesia because she was in a terrible accident, has serious trauma. And she's like, stop lying to me. Like, this is already hard. Like, can you stop lying to me? And he's like, no, like, I was there. And she's like, no. She just started screaming at him, stop lying, stop lying. And finally he's like, I was with Dylan, which apparently is the swim coach's name. I was with my swim coach. That's where I have been. The last 3 months and blah, blah, blah days, I've been with my swim coach. Okay? Then he just leaves. She starts flipping over the pictures because she doesn't want to look at them anymore. And then on one of the pictures, she's a little message. The card says, trust what you feel. Love doesn't need to be proven. Just keep walking and go on. And he's like, I'll be waiting for you at 401 Edgar Road. I think that's what he said. And so she's like, okay, now I can figure out what's been going on. She goes and meets him at Edgar Road. So she goes and meets him at the hotel, and they're like, and she's like, oh, so is you. Because he's like, I missed you. And she's like, oh, so is you. Like, you're the one who was there when I woke up. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, I did tell you. In my own way. When I tried to get your friend to hide it from you, and then put up Polaroids and didn't say who I was. And she's like, oh yeah, of course. So they start making out at the motel. And then it's like a little montage. Well, there are moments throughout the movie, like the arcade or fair where he left her. Or the day that she almost died. Those are the only 2 days they spent together. So those are the only memories they have together for the montage. Literally, in the montage, it shows them at the arcade. Them that day. And then it goes back to them at the hotel. And they're happy. They're together. Amazing. Next day, she is going to take her test. Our girl is a quantum physics girly. She hasn't taken her test yet. So she has finally come with her studded backpack and her jacket again and some more tights. A different skirt this time though. She's not wearing the same outfit. To go take her test. They flashback. Again, they have another flashback. He's driving in his car. They're flashing all their moments in Rome together. He's looking all dramatically like a model. He's like, oh yeah, that memory? Oh wow. Yeah. And then Bella Thorne comes back over to do another voiceover about how quantum physics relates to love. And do I care at this point? No. Because he has his new car. He's driving it around. And she's in it now. Because I guess he picked her up from her test. And they're driving together in slow-mo with some pretty sick music going on. It's sounds really cool. I like the beats of it. And after all that, you get a little screen that says time is up. Because you know what? Time is finally up on this fucking movie. And do you know how happy I am about that? God, this movie was rough. This movie was rough to get through. I will say. First time I watched this movie, you know how I said I watched it like a year ago? First time I watched it, I did not get past Bella Thorne getting into an accident. I think I watched like the scene afterwards and I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my God, please stop. Like I just was like, I cannot finish this. But you know what? This movie was a movie and it had some pretty good music. And Bella Thorne is pretty. Even though she looks 30, even though she's 25. And Ben looked 30 too. And their friend especially looked, Christina, Vivian's friend, especially looked 30. Movie was great. It was amazing. It sucked the soul out of my body. I'm so freaking tired now. It was boring. The plot was very cliche and predictable. Even her getting hit by a car was predictable. She is the one who needed to be hit by a car because she needed to have amnesia. And you know, that trope is also very overused. Which, like, you know, I'm not mad about using things that have been in a lot of other stuff because, like, art is theft. Like, there is not a single thing that has not been made, has not been created. There is nothing that has not been made before. But you can still try to have a unique take that is not just such a freaking cliche. Anyway, this movie was amazing. Bella Thorne does great movies. Every single movie she's ever made is the best movie I've ever seen, including this one, and I stand by that. Anyway, so if you want to see more of my videos, let me know. Check out whatever video I have coming out next. I think it might be about the Kardashians, but I could be wrong. So, bye.